You are listening to the Hello Sport Podcast.
Punters, dribblers, welcome back to the Hello Sport Podcast. Special edition potty alert. Special edition potty. We are here in studio previewing what was a couple of really nice chats. We sat down with Gallen. We sat down with Garside ahead of the pay-per-view Wednesday, May 11th. On main event via Kayo. You get the main event through Kayo. May 11th, Gallen fighting for the Australasian heavyweight title, the Australian heavyweight title. Garside is fighting to defend his lightweight title. Two great yarns, but the Biffs will be better. We're going to be at the Biffs. Biffs will be better. The potty's great, but the Biffs will be better than the potty. It's a no-limit card. No limit, do it right.
We love our friends at No Limit. We love our friends at K, and we love our friends at Main Event. It's as simple as that. But we've also met a couple of new mates, Tom. Like Gallen, you already sort of knew.
I was mates with Gallen already. Sorry about it.
But, me and Gallen now are really tight.
Yeah.
Really tight.
Yeah.
Told him how much we love the state. He was very reciprocal. He said he'd rather have played for Manly than the Sharks.
That's hot off the press.
He literally says that.
He might have not said it on camera, but he did say it.
He did say it. And then Harry Garside, who...
He's a new friend to both of us.
Well, do I have a crush on him? Sure.
I do.
Yeah.
I do have a crush on Garside.
Got a crush.
Really cool dude. Very interesting. He's one of the most interesting people we've spoken to.
And he can fucking fight his dick off.
He can fight his dick off. He's interesting, and he can fight his dick off. Now, interesting fact, and we only found this out recently as well, if you want to buy the main event through Kayo, you actually don't even need to have a Kayo subscription. So if you're one of those dumb fucks out there, and sadly, the world is filled with dumb fucks, and there are some dumb fucks out there that don't have Kayo, you can still buy the main event through Kayo in front of the paywall.
Through the power of technology.
Yep.
Giving choice to the punter and the dribbler. There is no better way to spend a Wednesday night. Pour yourself a stiff tequila and cheers to the fact that hump day is over. There's 2 days to go and you've got glorious fights ahead of you. So do what's right. Buy the main event via KO, 7 p.m, May 11th. Now, onto the yarns, onto the dribble.
Welcome back to the Hello Sport Podcast, the home of unqualified opinion and unwavering bias. Joining us ahead of his heavyweight Australasian heavyweight title fight, forgive me, against Chris Terzevsky next Wednesday, May 11th. We've got the great Paul Gallen. Gal, how are you?
I'm good, boy. It's good to know you're unqualified at talking about sports. I can't go wrong here, surely.
No, absolutely not. Look, off the top, just want to, we're obviously fight fans, but we're rugby league fans as well and proud New South Welshmen. And we feel like when we're having a yarn to you, before we get into anything, just to thank you for services to the state.
Thank you.
You've done a lot for the state.
I've done a lot. It was a tough time, though.
It was a tough time. It was tough.
I ran through the Queensland era of dominance and look, their golden period without a doubt. It was tough, but
you're probably like the only person that came out of that era like with their reputation intact.
just it was tough. And now that I'm retired, I can admit it. That team they had were just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well,
you'll never see another team like that. I don't care what they say, what the Queenslanders want to say, what anyone wants to say. That was a once in a lifetime team.
Yeah.
Now, we're diehard Manly fans. We've got to ask you.
That was next. Next. I was about to have
Did you almost sign with them?
Yes,
was that true?
I did, right? I'll tell you how close I was. I actually went over there to look for a house to live in. Oh, that's how close I was.
What happened?
I went back to Ricky Stewart, said, mate, I'm going. And he goes, oh, yeah. You want to play rep footy? I said, yeah. He goes, well, you won't be playing rep footy. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I'm the Australian coach, then I'm going to pick you. That was pretty much it. That was pretty much how it went down. That's what he said to me. That's what he said to me with my manager there and Shane Fleming, and that's what he said to me. And I believed it. Stupidly, I should have known, Bob Fulton picks the team. He was at Manly. He was on trying to get me to Manly. So I probably would have been right anyway. But anyway, I believe Sticky, and I stayed there, and I would have gone there in the end of 2007. He's won the comp in 08. I then had the next opportunity to go there in 2010 when Ricky Stewart got sacked. So I had a coach clause in my contract. And
then you would have won the comp.
They won the comp. So you imagine how I'm feeling when about 2013 or 14 when the new, what hit the fan, and I'm going, oh, well, look, thanks to the club. Yeah. And I could have won 2 premierships and everything would have been sweet. But thankfully, we got there in 2016, which makes it all
good. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, we missed out on that, mate.
So, mate, trust me, if I had went through my whole career not winning a premiership, It just makes you feel complete as a footy player, to be
Yeah.
honest. You know, going through one, not winning one, it would be hard. It would be pretty sad.
What you've done since retiring, and obviously it started a little bit towards the end of the career, but like you've almost had a fully successful boxing career after this incredible NRL career. Did you envisage it at any point getting to the level it's been? Like all of these main event fights, this is your second title fight. Was this like in your vision when you started getting into this?
Nah, not at all. I've got to say, not at all. I started boxing to make a little bit of extra money in the off-season. Because the off-season, I'll tell you what, I've got to say, boxing really helped me prolong my career because it gave me something else to concentrate on in the off-season. But you hear rugby league players, all they complain about rugby league is the off-season. They all hate the off-season. So I thought I wanted to do something different, especially towards the back end of my career. So I started boxing, and then I realised there's a bit of money in it. So I started making a few extra bucks in the off-season. That's what it was all about. And then when I realised I was going okay, and then I had certain people try to sign me up to fight with them, and I thought, well, this could go somewhere here. And then met the Rose boys, and they started No Limit, and I think I was on one of their first fight cards in Sydney, which went really, really good. And then I think we had the next fight card was with Tim Zhu on the undercard, and I think I fought Hopewade, and it just exploded, went awesome. Then I fought Junior Paulo, and the numbers on that were huge, and it just sort of went from there. And just kept escalating from there. And I've said from day one, I'm here to make a dollar. I'm not here for titles. But it turns out that I'm lucky enough. I'll be fighting for both next Wednesday.
Well, mate, it'd be nice if you got one. Nice to have an Australasian title hanging in the bar room, mate.
Yeah, it will be, and an Australian title too. And look, a lot of things have got to come together for these titles to fight for these titles. I mean, we're lucky enough. Joe Goodall and Justice Winning are fighting for a regional belt in about a month's time. So Justice had to relinquish the Australian title. So it just sort of fell into places because it's very hard to make boxing, even make the fight happen, to be honest. There's so many egos involved. There's so many people involved. There's money involved. So to make the actual fight come together is pretty hard. But then to be able to fight for a title is even harder. And it just so happened that it all sort of fell into place. Chris won the Australasian title about 2 months ago. So that's why he had that. And then Justice, as I said, relinquished the Australian title. So now we get to fight for both those titles. So looking forward to it. And right at the back end of my career to be able to win them and have them in the bar at home, we're pretty cool.
So who is, for those of you that, Chris obviously not a household name necessarily, what is maybe something, what's his biggest strength? What's the thing that, if people are watching the fight May 11th, next Wednesday, main event, Kayo, pay-per-view, what's his biggest element that he's bringing you got to be aware of?
His boxing ability, his head movement and his footwork. He moves a hell of a lot. He's not a still target ever. He's a southpaw, which is always makes for an interesting fight, a southpaw versus an orthodox fighter, because they are awkward southpaws. They are very different. And he's a very good boxer. He's very, very fast. He's younger than me. He's very skillful, but I think deep down he's soft. I think I've seen him quit before. I watched him in a particular fight. I know the fighter that he fought, and he quit that night. There's no doubt he quit that night. He said his trainer threw in the towel, but it doesn't matter if your trainer threw in the towel. At the end of the day, it reflects on you as a person and you as a fighter or you as an athlete. And he quit that night. I saw it, and I've got no doubt that I can make him quit again. Do
you reckon that's your biggest strength, your toughness?
Yeah,
you didn't give an inch in Origin, and then when you come in and you're fighting even Justice, that was a pretty brutal night. But you didn't.
Night for myself. Yeah,
but you hung around,
Yeah, I hung in. It wasn't nice to rewatch it, and that's what he's hoping in this fight. He said I've done an interview with him, and he's hoping that at 40 years of age, I'm not going to want to be hit the amount of times he's going to hit me. That's what he's hoping. Now, he's trying to say he's going to hit me as many times as Justice hit me. Now, he has that speed, he has that accuracy, he has that skill. But I don't think he's going to be able to hit me as many times as Justice did. And I don't think he's going to have the power to be able to hurt me. So when he hits me with his best shot and I'm still standing there and coming forward at him and trying to hurt him, he's going to shit himself even more.
What element of boxing was the hardest to master, or not even master, but just when you started doing it, the one where you were like, holy shit, the thing that you sort of had to work the hardest at? Trying
to stay relaxed.
Yeah.
And it seems so easy and so simple, and my trainer still tells me today, in between sessions, while we're doing sessions, relax. You can't have tension. You can't be gritting your teeth and trying to, because you're zapping energy doing that. You just got to stay relaxed as much as you possibly can, float around the ring, move your head, and just constantly stay relaxed. The only time you need any tension, and my trainer tells me every session, the only time you need any tension is right on the end of that punch. As you don't even clench your fist, you don't even have your fist clenched until right at that moment, just before impact. That's when you clench your fist. That's when there's tension right at the end. And to master that, I don't know if anyone's ever mastered it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I certainly am not great at it because when I see someone on punch you, like I want to get you, like you got that attitude from rugby league is just still in me, and that's the hardest thing to master. Definitely, without a doubt, that's the hardest thing, and I haven't mastered it.
Do you think you'd knock Nate Miles out now? Like if you were throwing that punch, like if you were throwing, in that game, do you reckon you would have knocked him out, or his head's just too big?
He's got a special head. A bit like me, I've got a special head too, and I wouldn't have knocked him out. No.
You got him very clean. Have you got any, when you're getting ready for a fight, is there anything that you sort of do habitually? I
treat it exactly like rugby league.
Yeah.
I treat it the same. Like when I prepared for rugby league, I did everything I could to make sure I was well prepared mentally and physically as I could go into the game, and I would just treat that well. I've prepared well, I'm going to play well. And boxing's the same. I just treat it exactly the same way. Prepare for boxing physically and mentally as best I can. I get to the ground, I have a banana. I used to have a banana before the warm-up. I have a banana for the warm-up boxing, and wear a pair of swimmers, I think. I used to wear swimmers. I don't think I wear a pair of swimmers anymore. I don't even know what I do.
What do you do to calm your nerves? Like, 'cause you're saying, like, that's one of the hardest things to do. Like, is there anything that you, like any tactics to try and just get yourself?
I treat it, as I said, I treat it like rugby league. I just treat it... I always go back to my preparation. That's all I did in rugby league. I always went back to my preparation. If I prepared well physically and mentally, I know I was ready to play. It doesn't guarantee you're going to play well. It doesn't mean you're going to go there and kill it and score a try or make 100 runs or 100 tackles. It doesn't guarantee it, but it just gets you in the mind that you know you're ready. You know you've done everything you can mentally and physically to prepare. And I just treat it the same, boxing the same way. I train hard. I'm physically prepared, and I just tell myself, I reinforce myself in my mind that I've trained harder than him. I know I'm physically more prepared than him, and I'm mentally more prepared than him. And if I take that into the fight, it doesn't guarantee a win, but it holds me in good stead to get the job done.
Don't know if you read this, but Cambosis he's going to stop rooting until the fight.
He's sworn off.
He's sworn off. He's not. He wants to perform on the night. Have you ever thought about doing that?
Man, I've got 4 kids. I get it whenever I get it. Okay, whenever I can. Tonight we're on the...
So you're not saying no on the lead up, mate?
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying no the night before.
Well, there you go. That's that mystery, but
yeah, it's not.
Look, he is at the top echelon, isn't he? So I mean, maybe you do have to sacrifice. I know I've sacrificed a lot over the last 5 weeks, but having sex with my wife won't be one of them.
Mate. Look, just to wrap it up before we let you go, I last year embarked on a bit of like a health kick journey. I'd put on a couple of kgs, and I had a trainer, and he got me down on the beach in Clovelly, just throwing the mitts around, trying to do some pad work. And then some asshole snapped me on camera, and I was just hoping that maybe you could have a look at my work, give me a bit of feedback, let me know where I'm potentially performing well and where I could...
what the strengths and weaknesses are.
So we'll just chuck it across here. No, how are we getting this full screen?
Who snapped you?
Some dribbler who watches the podcast, unfortunately.
Just a fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What do you reckon?
What do we reckon here?
You got to twist your body into it more. That's one thing my trainer also tells me. You got to hit. He always tells me hit with your hips. Don't hit. Think about it. You obviously got to throw your hand, and your hand's what makes contact. But you got to twist your hips into it.
Yeah, have I got what it takes?
Your hips aren't moving. And let me tell you the other thing. Your hands, you're doing this every time. Every time you throw a punch, you're doing that and doing that and doing that. Someone's going to take your head off real quick.
So not impressive.
Look, I love you.
Yeah.
And you're a nice guy.
Yeah.
And I've had fun with you boys. But you're in trouble.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're in trouble.
I'm in some trouble.
You would have been about the same age when he started.
What are you now, 45?
What are you talking about here? I'm in the early stages of my 30s.
Mate,
nowhere near.
You don't look a day older than me, trust me.
We can't let you go before we ask, like, if you were a betting man and you were looking to, just...
Pick a method.
Yeah.
Well, the method will be, I'll think about to knock him out, I do. I think about to stop him, so...
Yeah.
KO or TKO, what round?
Yeah.
I'll say late. I'll say round 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he's going to be reasonably tough, but as I said, I'll find it in there somewhere. I'll be able to track him down, and I'll say round 8.
Yeah, It won't be tough enough. Good on you, Gal, mate. Good luck.
Tough enough.
Thanks,
boys.
Thanks for chatting to us, mate.
Cheers, no worries.
Beauty.
Thank you.
Continuing our preview, our hype up, if you will, of this massive boxing card, no limit card for next Wednesday, May 11th. Joining us, the great Harry Garside, how are you?
Good. Thanks for having me on, boys.
Mate, thanks for being here. How are you feeling? You ready to go?
Ready to go, yeah. There's only 5 weeks between my last fight and this one, so all the preparation was done, all the hard preparation was done for the last fight. It's all about just maintaining and making sure I'm looking at the last fight and looking to grow and evolve and making sure I show up on fight day and bring my best, as I always try my best to do.
You mentioned the last fight. It was a great fight. You looked really good. The guy who you fought, whose name escapes me, but like had a good account of himself, even though it seemed like he got pummeled quite convincingly. How do you feel after a fight like that physically? Like, you didn't take really much damage at all, and you sort of bashed him around. Like, how long does it take for your hands to recover and things like that? Is that a long period of time? Do you rest much after that?
Yeah, I had a few days off, mate. He was an exceptional athlete. He showed up to fight, and I hit him with my best, and he sort of walked straight through it.
Yeah.
So I remember I stood up for the whole fight, and I remember getting to round 8, and I'm thinking, geez, I wish I sat down.
Yeah, dude, you just...
I know,
we were going,
stupid.
holy shit, he just stand... Is that something you've always done, just stand in the corner and not...
Yeah, in the amateurs, you used to only fight 3 rounds, so it's quite easy to stand. But doing 10 rounds, standing the whole time, I was thinking, geez, I can't wait for this to be over.
Did it start to take a toll?
Oh, a little bit. If you were taking heaps of damage, then I think it would probably take a toll.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I felt like I was making a few punches miss. And out of the whole fight, there was probably maybe 10 to 15 shots that I felt like actually landed cleanly. So I was actually pretty good, but I think if I was ever to fight someone who hit me more than 15 times, I think it would probably take the toll.
Yeah. Well, Tom and I were remarking, actually, when we were watching the fight over text, I was like, he's not even sweating at the end of the fight. Like, have you always had a big engine, or is that something you just work your ass off to get?
It's a bit of both. I've always been an endurance athlete. I ran my first marathon when I was, how old was I? I was probably 16 or 17.
Jesus.
Show off.
Yeah.
We're doing one this year, mate.
Yeah.
Hey, nice.
Get some pointers off you.
Of course. But yeah, I've always been an endurance athlete. I've loved like long distance running. I love endurance sort of sport. So I think after boxing, besides obviously doing the ballet, I'll also be probably doing triathlons and stuff like that. I'm useless at swimming.
Just quickly, we want to get to the ballet as well. The standing in the corner, is there an aspect of just like fucking with him, going like, you aren't doing a thing to me here, mate?
Yeah, of course. There's a mental thing. But I'm also reading, I don't know if you've ever read Open by Andre Agassi. Great book.
Great book.
Highly recommend. And he talks about sitting down during a tennis match and how bad it is sometimes. I mean, when you sit down, your brain is actually told that it's time to recover, it's time to rest. So, by staying up and staying alert, I've got to go out to war next round. So if I sit down, I feel like I'm telling my body it's time to rest, it's time to recover, when really you've still got work to be done.
Interesting.
It'd be very intimidating to watch a bloke.
I was intimidated watching it. I'm like, dude, he's a machine. Like, and he's belting this guy and then just standing there and staring at him. I was like, this is terrifying.
I just throw in the towel and go home.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. This is a wrap for me here.
But you move very well. Like, you move terrifically.
Coming from 2 gentlemen who don't move.
We don't move, but I like to say that
we
I can
appreciate
spot
good
someone
movement.
that moves well.
Yeah, elite
Thank you,
movement.
boys. I appreciate that.
We've got an eye for movement.
Yeah.
And
Should
what
have
I
seen me on a
saw,
Saturday night at the dance floor.
I can imagine. You'd be impressive.
it'd be unfair. I'd ask you to leave. But you can tell, at least I think I can tell, that you're classically trained, which you are. How long have you been doing ballet for? And was it ballet then boxing, or boxing then ballet?
Boxing then ballet. So I only started in 2019. So it's been the last sort of 3 years, and of those 3 years, it's been COVID. So I haven't done heaps of it, but I absolutely love it. And I always wanted to try ballet. I was just a little bit scared to tell my brothers and my dad. They're pretty old-fashioned and they're the blokey blokes.
Yeah.
But finally built up the courage and started in 2019 and fell in love with it. It's a lot of fun, and I think any form of dance is really valuable for all athletes, not just in ballet. But I think if anyone wants to sort of get themselves uncomfortable and learn about their body and how it moves, and I think any form of dance is really good for growth as a human.
So did you want to do ballet because you knew it would be helpful to boxing, or was it just something that was an interest for you?
So 2 things. Like, I always was really interested. My favourite movies growing up was High School Musical, Bring It On, Centre Stage. I loved movies like this growing up. I used to get bullied by my brothers a fair bit.
Good movie, High School Musical.
Oh, great movie. I know all the words off by heart, mate. We can sing later. But it's funny, my brothers used to bully me, but then they'll be sitting down next to me watching it. So I'm thinking, hold on a minute, you guys like this movie, don't you? But I was always really interested in like performance arts growing up. But where I grew up, it was like, not many people do that. So I sort of kept it in, and as I said, finally built up the courage to do it. And obviously the transferring of the weight, the strictness, the discipline, there's so many similarities to boxing that it just transfers really well. So I've definitely noticed an improvement of my boxing since I started.
And is it something you're saying, like, post-career, obviously you're nowhere near that, but is that something you pursue, ballet? Like, how would that look?
Oh, I'm pretty useless, mate.
Or?
But 100% is on my bucket list. You know, I don't know if it'll be bloody in the biggest theatres in the world, but I've always said I'd love to do like a ballet performance where I grew up in Melbourne, Lilydale. It's sort of end of the train line. Imagine all the boys half cut and then watching them, they'll be really screaming, throwing beers at me. So it'd be a lot of fun, and it's on my bucket list, mate. I really want to do a performance one day, but I need to get better. I'm still pretty useless.
Do you go to ballet? Do you go watch it?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I went to one, American in Paris. It's like a theatre/ballet, and it was fantastic. Went there the other day. It was really good.
Really? I watch the Sugar Plum Fairy with my daughter every once in a while on YouTube. She's obsessed with it. So, you know, we can talk ballet a little if you want. Look, you kind of just burst into our lives last year with the Olympics. And, you know, whenever the Olympics is on, you know, the nation just gets around whoever they've got their athletes. Obviously, you did well as well. You got a bronze medal. How was that experience for you at the Olympics, like, and the explosion of awareness that you had within the nation?
Yeah, it was amazing, mate. Like, no one can really prepare you for moments like that. Like, before the Olympics, all the people that knew me were my parents. So it's pretty crazy to be walking now, and sometimes, like, a young person comes up to you. I still feel like that young kid who used to get Andrew Gaze to sign my sneakers. And you mean, obviously watching Grant Hackett, that's a massive inspiration of mine in 2004. Australia beating Uruguay 2005 to qualify for the World Cup. What a moment. I'll always say you're guilty. Moments like that, mate, were just amazing. And to finally get the opportunity after failing 5 times to make an Olympic team, I was just grateful to be there, mate, and to look down. I'm so patriotic, and to look down to my heart and see the Australian emblem with the Olympic rings. I'm just a sporting fan, simple as that, and just very grateful to be there.
Do you get around the house with the medal on? You know?
I actually
do you slip it on every time you hop in?
I gave the medal away.
Did you?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I gave it to the MCG. It's just like it's material. I don't really care too much about the medal. It's more the person that I become. I mean, on the pursuit of actually achieving something like that. So, you know, that's more of a focus for me. Like, of course, I've got massive ambitions, but also just want to make sure I'm becoming a good human. And the way I become a good human is by, expecting a lot from myself and trying to reflect a lot. And it's not so much about accolades or medals or stuff like that. It doesn't mean too much.
You seem to be like quite I don't know if deep think is the right word, but just like quite considered and a thoughtful person. And that probably isn't something that many people would connect with a fighter, right? Like, it just, rightly or wrongly, it just sort of isn't probably the natural inclination that someone is going to think of. Where's that come from? What are your parents like? Is that sort of an inspiration you got from them?
Yeah,
Have you
absolutely.
always been that way?
Yeah, I've always been really curious. I'm really curious about the world, and I was really fortunate to travel. I travelled a couple of times overseas before 18, and then through boxing, I travelled heaps through the amateurs and stuff like that. Lived in the Philippines for 3 months. And I think travelling and experiencing things, and my mum, she's a medium, so she's very spiritual. She talks to dead people.
Really?
And my dad's a roof tiler, so he's a good, hard-working Aussie bloke.
Yeah.
So having that mix of being my dad being a hard-working Aussie bloke and a bit realistic, and then my mum who's spiritual and flowy, and it was a great mix. They sort of really complement each other really well. And as I said, travelling the world, living in the Philippines for 3 months, with there was no bed, you were sleeping on the ground, and it sort of just gives you a different perspective for life, I think.
How's it go? How's the medium life? That just seems like a very interesting gig. What's your take on it?
Yeah, it's interesting, mate. I don't know if I fully believe it, to be honest. I don't know if anyone's ever
Don't tell your mum that.
Yeah, I know.
How does that go over dinner?
I know.
Mum.
We always used to take the piss out of it. Smoking a few Hong Kongs, mum. But yeah, I just know my mum's not a liar. So it's actually hard to question it, but I know my mum's not a liar.
Yeah.
She truly believes it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have watched Afterlife, Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
so
it's
good.
great.
And I think he gives a good perspective of it's like if people believe it, fantastic.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I don't know if I'm sold on it yet, but she fully believes it, and it's great for her. She has a passion.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in my life that believe it.
Yeah, same.
I haven't made up my mind yet, but there's certainly...
I sort of am in your camp though, right? Like, I've got no reason to have an issue with anyone believing it, right? Just let them rip. When did you... so you go.
Sorry, mate. You've had 2 fights now. This will be the 3rd. Have you got like a bit of a roadmap that you've sort of played out in your head of how, you can get from where you're at to, I assume, wanting to be a world champion?
Yeah, I think I've said to my team I really want to focus on over the next 2 years becoming world rated and then hopefully fighting for world titles. I'm 24, so there's no real immediate rush, but at the same time, I want to be doing it soon because George Kambosos has set the bar of what's possible for an Australian fighter. Us younger athletes, we have to try and raise that bar. So, I want to become a unified champion, then either move up or move down a weight division and try and unify 2 weight divisions. So that's the goal for sure.
Because you and George, same weight division, correct? Is there any... Would you fight George? Do you know him well? Is there any...
I've never actually spoke to George, but
Okay.
I'm the type of athlete, I'd love to fight anyone, to be
Yeah.
honest. And I think the only way you learn, the only way you improve is to fight the best, and he is truly the best at the moment. So I'm the type of athlete, win, lose or draw, I'll take a lot from a performance like that, fighting someone like that. What an opportunity that is.
Yeah.
And you say if I was to lose, you train harder, be better, and fight him next time and try and beat him next time.
Now, we asked Gal this before and he had his own opinions, but Kambosos has sworn off sex until the fight. Have you ever heard of that before? What do you make of it? Is it something you'd look to do?
Yeah, I did, was it 85 days before the Olympics? 85 days not ejaculating.
None.
None, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so like that,
You a monk?
it was hard. And it was such
What is that, 3 months?
3 months, yeah, almost, just under 3 months.
That's more impressive than anything you know in boxing.
It was such a letdown when I actually did get the chance to do it. It was such a letdown. It was a bit of an anticlimax.
Oh,
It was just
Jesus.
it. It was just fun.
All for nothing.
All for nothing.
But like, why'd you do that? Is it about building up testosterone? Is it about being disciplined?
There's a few things about scientifically proven that it might benefit you, but for me, it's all mindset.
Yeah.
I was doing things like before the Olympics. I read a chapter of a book every day, meditated every day, saying things in the mirror every day. I had these alarms set, and it was so stupid. I had these alarms set, and they would go off like 10 times a day, and I'd stop, close my eyes, and I'd picture myself on the podium. Just things like that.
Yeah.
Hectic. I don't know if it helps, but it's like, if it does, fantastic. I'll do anything that might help.
But it happened though, right?
Yeah,
So-
it's funny because when I was doing that, and I did that for 3 months in advance, right? When I was doing that, I could see myself on the podium, but I couldn't see myself in the middle. I would always open my eyes, and then I'd reset. I'd go, come on, be in the middle, but I could never see it. It was doing my head in, really doing my head in.
What is where do you get your inspiration for that sort of behaviour? Are there people that you read from who have done things in the past like that? That seems like incredibly disciplined, but also there's inspiration from somewhere.
Yeah, there's many people. I'm really grateful. The Gold Medal Ready program was a program the Australian Institute of Sport run with the Commander Regiment, so the Australian Army, and through that process, they taught us to sort of be mentally strong, and you're working alongside people who have been in actual combat, hand-to-hand combat in war. So their mindset's a little bit different. It's life or death.
Yeah.
But we have the same response. So I learnt a lot from that. Of course, people like David Goggins, we all love David Goggins.
Yeah, we love David.
Great minds. It makes you feel like a weak dog.
It makes you feel terrible.
Yeah.
But he pumps you up.
You're not getting me off the couch
hits
today,
your
David.
soul.
Sorry, mate.
He just turned you off.
Yeah, just lock the phone and back to sleep. Just gonna mute him there.
But yeah, there's many people out there, and I think the best thing about, I know people trash the phones, especially the older generation, they trash the phones. The best thing about the phone is we have everything at our fingertips. So if you want to put your social media with inspirational, motivational people, you can do that. It's your choice. You want to follow people who are negative, and I just have a big focus on following people who fill my glass up, and I've got a lot of people that I follow that do that, so I'm pretty grateful.
What was the Olympics like in a lockdown COVID world? And also, what were the beds like? Because we heard they were just like cardboard, sex-proof essentially. We don't want to make this all about rooting, but what was that experience like, and also the beds?
Yeah, the beds were interesting, mate. I'm pretty fortunate. I actually like sleeping on concrete. So, and it felt like concrete. There were cardboard beds with the mattresses that are about that big, and they were pretty terrible. But I loved it. A lot of the other athletes hated it.
Why do you like sleeping on concrete?
I don't know. I've just straightened me back. That's my excuse. Straightens me back. But I didn't mind the beds, and the Olympic experience, I think, because we couldn't go to other sports like a normal Olympics, because we couldn't really socialise with other teams properly, it really made the Australian headquarters really special. In walking around, people like Paddy Mills, Kate Campbell, Jess Fox, these are people who I idolise, Ariane Timmins, these are people who I look up to, and just sort of walking around bumping shoulders with them and having a chat with them, how good. I had a few beers with Paddy Mills at the end, and
oh really?
Mate, very grateful.
That's mad.
Yeah, I'll take that to the grave.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of chants going on, like Advanced Australia Fair and Aussie and stuff?
At the end, for sure. When the Boomers got that bronze medal, when they come back, that was a big night. That was a lot of fun, and we had. I can't remember much of it. But we had a lot of fun.
Special night. For
yeah. So look, just Because obviously people know you, maybe Leighton, forgive me, Leighton, McFerrin, less known opponent, maybe just in the sort of, again, the general people at large. A little bit about him and maybe what his strengths are, things that you're sort of planning for and that you've got to be wary of when you fight him next week.
To be honest, mate, I've been trying to find some footage of him, but I can't find any. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, I just know that he's had 6 fights, 1 loss, and he's from Tasmania. And everyone from Tasmania is usually tough as nails. So I'm sure he's going to be there to fight, and it's a massive opportunity for him. If he beats someone like me, it sort of propels his career forward. So I've got a lot on the line for this one as well. So I'm just going to show up and make sure I fight properly and fight good and never overlook an opponent. As I said, he's from Tasmania. He's tough. He's strong. Look at the mullet. Jeez, have you seen the mullet, a photo of him? It looks bloody good.
Is he raring as well?
Hey, have a look at it.
Check there. That's a Tasmanian mullet.
I should make a deal with him before. I should make the deal with him. Whoever loses has to shave the mullet.
Yeah, it's like WWF sort of shit.
You should.
The mullet shave. And just like, so with a fight like that, or just in fights generally, when you're like nerves, how do you handle nerves coming into something? As you say, you got a lot on the line. As you always do, but like, how do you handle nerves? Yeah,
I kind of really embrace it and I really enjoy it. So I've been boxing since I was 9, 16 years in the sport. I had over 105 fights.
Jesus.
I had a lot in the amateurs and obviously this will be my 3rd as a pro. So I love the nerves. It makes you honestly feel the most alive. You mean I chase experience, I chase emotion, as I said before a fight, it makes me feel so alive. Like everything is heightened. I mean, I can see my opponents. I can see the sweat dripping. I can see his muscles twitching. I can see his lungs moving. Like you're so present and you're so aware in that moment. And as I said, it's an amazing feeling.
Crazy.
Beautiful stuff.
Finally,
Yeah.
If you were sitting opposite a couple of gentlemen who also gamble on sports sometimes, if you were to just predict a round and a method that the fight may end, what are you seeing when you close your eyes and those alarms go off?
I'm hoping for round 7 stoppage. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Round 7. That's
Love
pretty
it.
easy. Gals round 8.
Yeah, gals round 8, round 7.
That's easy.
Make it happen. Mate, good luck.
Hey, thanks, boys.
Thanks a lot for coming, for having a chat with us, and look forward to seeing the fight.
Let's go.
Well, there you have it. Aren't you a fucking bunch of lucky P's and D's? Gal, Garside, greatness. But remember, May 11th, main event via Kayo. Don't have to be a subscriber. But you got to get the main event. Unless you're going to be at the fucking fight with Edward and myself, buy the pay-per-view.
That's your only excuse.
Via KO. You know what else? You know who else is on there? Nikita Zoo. Woohoo! Kostya's boy.
Yeah.
Kostya's other boy. You know what his nickname is? The Butcher.
Oh, my
That's
God.
pretty badass, dude.
Bro, that's badass.
The Butcher?
That's fucking
You know
badass.
what butchers do? They cut up meat.
They butcher things,
They
bro.
butcher things.
Butcher's butcher.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Garside, Gallen, cheers. Thanks for your time. Love you, cunts. Buy the pay-per-view.
He called you cunts. Just so you know. He called you cunts.
In love.
Main event, KO. Main event, KO. Main event, KO. Wednesday, May 11th.
Could you two just not talk anymore?